Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. My mum treated her COVID vaccination as a day out because she hasn't been out anywhere. It was quite a treat. And I'm not joking. She was chatting to everybody. Yeah, socializing, asking people how far they'd come, and it's just we might as well have gone to the theatre. There you go. It was so much fun. Followed by to make a real day of it, a real day out, fish and chips in the car on the way home. It was, other than the jibe about looking 85 years old, it was quite a treat for me too. We don't get out much these days, do we?
Tim, it's not that bad. I'm just right at 80, pretty darn close, so it's okay.
Roberta, no, I'm not trying to be, well, I'm not being offensive to those in their 80s. I'm just saying, I'm not ready. I probably won't be ready when I'm 80. No, that's a fair point. No, there's certainly nothing wrong with it. As somebody quite ancient said to me the other day, yeah, it's you won't like it. It's not great getting old. I went, well, it's better than the alternative, isn't it? It's pretty straightforward. There are only two alternatives: this or not this. The only alternative to getting old is to be dead. So I said, getting old, it's not that bad. And there really is no getting old. Hold on, I just shut the door. Hold on. That's better. So there's no escape. In a very real way, there aren't many benefits of what I'm speaking about. There's certainly as many negatives as there are positives to the absence of the one who wanted life to be better. There are plenty of positives, but there are some negatives as well. I mean, the end of hopes and dreams is quite a disappointment. It can feel devastating, but of course, hopes and dreams were simply what they are, which is hopes and dreams. They were never reality. So the loss of them really isn't a loss. But you are just left with what's left. And for want of a better word, we'll call what's left what is this life, this happening, this what's going on, this aliveness. This unknowable experiencing that we pretend we know. This that's completely known without any requirement of knowledge or understanding to be exactly as it is. And it's starkly simple, and it's also starkly ordinary. And if you're looking for mysticism, if you're looking for magical, if you're looking for mystical, then you need to keep hold of your hopes and dreams. Because this life isn't, it is a mystery, but it's the most ordinary mystery. Just this. The mystery is that it can't be known what it is, how it is, why it is. There aren't any answers to questions. It's kind of the end of questions, because this is unquestionably as it is. It's questions become redundant. Because all the questions that you would ask about life are what and why and how. And this isn't interested. Life isn't interested in your questions. Why do you need to know? It's kind of like, I mean, there isn't an answer, but if the questions go out to the universe, to God, whoever you're speaking to you when you want to know what's going on, whoever you ask, there'll just be a deafening silence. All got a little plug in there. There isn't an answer that comes back. I mean, you may ask the questions and you go, well, I haven't had an answer yet. Well, there'll be a reason you haven't had an answer to your questions about life. Because silence is the answer. Emptiness is the answer that you're looking for. Sorry, it's not what you're looking for, but it's all you're going to get. And if you get an answer, if you hear an answer come back, well, that'll be you giving yourself an answer. For sure, won't it? So, you know, you're sitting in contemplation. Maybe you're meditating and a question appears. And then an answer appears. Well, that'll be you asking the question, and that'll be you answering the question. And this doesn't have any requirement of answers. There are no answers. And so you could say the peace that passes all understanding is just that. No answer. And life isn't interested in your demands to know. And knowing doesn't serve any, it's of no value. It doesn't serve any purpose. It's hugely overrated. But of course, we're so heavily conditioned to know the answers, because knowing the answers has always been told from early childhood, we were told by adults that that's the way forward. That's the way to get where we want to be. That's the way to success. That's the way to life. Whereas no way is the way to life. There isn't a way. It's not somewhere else. There's no traveling required. There's no path or journey to get here. You could say there's only here, but even that is saying too much. There isn't here. You can't locate here in emptiness. You know, if if this is completely empty, which it is, then there's no location. There's seeming location, you know, Don't get me wrong, it still seems like Tim's here and you're there. But you don't take that seriously anymore. That's not taken, you know, that's not real. It is real, but it's not real. You are really there, and I am really here, but we're not. So if you're looking for answers, they're the sort of answers that you're going to get. And of course, they're of no use, are they? What are you going to do with that? Because you want you want black and white. You want yes or no. That's what I always want. So just tell me the truth. And once I know the truth, the rest is untruth. Well, how about the truth and untruth being no different? Just one story of truth and one story of not true. And you're then left with just lovely stories or terrible stories. And really, that's all we've got. In sharing, that's all there is. We can just share our stories. That is all we've got. And this story of stories just being stories and not real stories is just another story. So you don't even get to keep, you know, your sacred story of this is the proper story and disregard all the others. Because again, that's what self wants. Okay, I want to know the truth, you know. You only have to look at religion for that. Each religion saying that they have the true God. And that's what self demands. It demands that I know the truth and all the others have got it wrong. And the love of this message is that there is no getting it wrong. There's no one to get it wrong. There's no way to get it wrong. Life is never right or wrong. Life simply is. Until you say otherwise. Until you say it's one way or the other, it's no way or the other. This message has nothing to say about the way life is. It has nothing to say about the way life should be or could be. Life is only ever as it is. And that is the most absolutely obvious fact that every human being is always starkly aware of, but is usually in denial of because it's very busy. Nearly all human beings are totally preoccupied with how it could be or it should be, which are simply ideas. Life couldn't give a shit about your ideas about how it could or should be. In fact, most other human beings couldn't give a shit about how you feel life could or should be. Do they? Haven't you noticed that in conversation with them? And then you gravitate and you go, oh, I like her. Well, you like her because she agreed with your contrived ideas about how life could or should be. That's why you like her. And then the other, yeah, oh, that guy, he was a twat. He was such a moron. Well, yeah, because he didn't like your ideas about how life could or should be. And then we call that politics, usually, or religion, or spirituality, or whatever else we're debating today, whatever else self holds dear. And the wonderful, one of the most liberating aspects of speaking about this is that it's really seen that no one's getting anything wrong. And the great freedom is when they're not my ideas and none of this is mine. None of what you called yours is yours. And in that is all the freedom for it to be expressed, because it means nothing. Because all its meaning, all its weight of value and meaning came from, it's mine. So of course it's important. It's part of who I am. Well, the words spoken are nothing to do with you. And there's immense freedom in that. Okay. So if you'd like to ask questions, if you've not come before, you can put your hand up by going to the hand up icon. Darren, where is that? Because I don't do it, obviously.
Do you know, I'm not quite sure on the iPad. I'm on the iPad, but
is it reaction? Oh, sorry, reaction. Yeah. So you click on the reactions and oh no, that's clapping. Yeah. Now, why I haven't seen more of that, I don't know. I've seen very little of that hand clapping icon.
You click on participant.
Hand up, Marcus. Where's the hand up icon?
No, it's at the bottom of reactions.
Oh, is it? Anyway, you can do that.
On a laptop, it's at the bottom of participant.
Or if you want to say something, do that. I'll see that. I can see that really easily. So would anyone like to, anyone got anything they'd like to ask?
Yeah, hi Tim, it's Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, I haven't been on for a while because I've something else on a Thursday, so I've just popped on for half an hour to say hi and
hi, Carol.
And good to
How
hear
are
you. Yeah, I'm all right. Are you?
Yeah, not bad.
Enjoying your book?
Oh, glad. Oh, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
There's another plug for you.
Yeah, and while you've mentioned it, Carol, I'll plug it a bit more. If you haven't seen, it's out on Kindle. So if you, you know, that's half the price. So if you, you can get it on Kindle now.
It's a deafening silence.
What when I say buy the book?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's followed by a deafening. All of those you who love the book, deafening silence.
Another way to get a plug in.
Thanks, Carol.
Hello.
Meta has a hand up.
Meta. I think I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly, aren't I? Where's Meta?
Yeah, I just needed to unmute it. Yeah, it's
how should I pronounce your name? Mida.
Mid.
Oh, that's really hard for an Englishman. Say it
That's
once
okay.
more.
I understand you.
Mida.
Mitte. Yeah.
Mitte. Okay.
I just feel really like saying, why are we sitting here? Do you have an answer? Why are we sitting here? It's so simple. Life is this, and in silence we are in context. So why are you sitting here? Why am I sitting here? I mean.
Well, I love the answer. There's a great answer to all why questions. If anyone ever asks you ever again why you do something, just say why not. because that is the appropriate answer. It's not for you to justify. There's no this is the end of needing to justify, because of course, who is the one that needs justification? It's always self. And so if you ask yourself why you're doing it, it's so that when someone asks you why you do it, then you have a reasoned answer, a justifiable reason for doing what you do. Well, one of the great freedoms of this is the end of that. There's absolutely there's no sense of a need to justify. So why do you do something? Well, usually it's because you enjoy it. And if you're doing something and you're not enjoying it, like work for a lot of people, then you justify it, well, I have to pay the bills. But really, the whole notion of justification of why is fabricated by self needing to justify its own actions, its own thoughts, its own feelings. So why do I feel like that? Well, I need to find out and give good reasons. Well, there aren't necessarily good reasons. It's just how it is. It doesn't. Life doesn't need any justification. I do. So if you want a reason to be here, Meta, is why not? If you don't like it, I suggest you probably should leave. But if you're enjoying it, or there's even if it's frustrating and you don't really know why, because I said that quite a bit about going to see Tony Parsons all the time. It was like, what the hell am I doing here? Then it became very obvious why I'm here. I like the people.
Mm.
And then that was the end. I never asked that question again. I really liked being with the people who came to the meetings. Exactly. Almost universally, and that's rare. If you're in a social group and you like everyone who's there, then, well, I'd challenge you to go to many parties where that's the case. Whereas in non-duality, it sort of weeds out the dickheads, it seems. Not necessarily. There were a few there. There were only one or two to avoid, though. I was probably one of them. Anyway, yeah, so, but the best answer to why questions is why not? There is, whatever answer is given to why is always, it's a fabrication. It's a unnecessary need to justify how life is.
Wonderful answer. Thank you.
Eleanor has her hand up.
Eleanor, where are you?
I'm here. Hello.
Eleanor, where are you? Oh,
Here.
there you are.
Yeah. Hello. Can you talk a little bit about malefic energy? I don't know.
I doubt it. I doubt it very much. Say it again. What kind of energy?
Malefic energy.
I haven't got a clue. What does that mean?
Well, like a devil energy.
Devil?
Yeah.
Oh shit. You mean like evil energy as opposed to good energy? Do you mean?
Yeah.
Well, again, I think the whole notion of good and evil. So I would say you could feel negative energy, but to infer all the stories, unless you've had a religious conditioning where you've got, solid ideas of the devil and evil and good and evil, and, the whole of the universe is a fight between positive and negative energies, or good and evil energies. They're just elaborate stories. But yeah, there's you can feel. I think there's just an intuitive sense of oh, this doesn't feel right. And then inferred with that natural feeling, say, for example, you go into a room and you just feel, oh, this doesn't feel good, this feels bad. Nearly everyone has it. That's really natural. I feel it's very base, like it's animal, that is really a deep mammalian sense. But then what me does is layer over that natural feeling of, which means just walk out again because it doesn't feel right, which you would do. Then there's this elaborate story laid over the top of it. And of course, it could be any story. And if you're a Christian, then it may involve the devil.
Yeah, I just realize now that it's possible to be deep ingrained in religion. I just realize now, but it's a lot of pain in the belly, and I don't know.
No, and I don't know at all. That would just be my take on it. But I think the sensing of feels good, feels very welcoming, or feels repulsive, you know, it like you want to turn away from it. I think that's very natural. It's just part of being human. But the story, but all the other, here there's a sense of they're just elaborate stories which don't have any significance at all. I don't have any sense that there is good and evil.
That's impossible.
You know, so there's preferable, so there's pleasant and unpleasant. Yeah, definitely. And so we've called what we like good and what we don't like unpleasant evil.
It's the same thing.
Sorry, Elena, did you say?
It's the same. Pleasant and unpleasant, it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah, so unpleasant and pleasant is how it is, but the meaning, we attach all meaning to that, self does. Pleasant is just preferable to unpleasant. It doesn't mean one is good and one is bad.
Yeah, can be religion, because it comes now in my head. I listen UG speaking about Jesus. He said at some point that Jesus go to the desert 40 days and eat mushrooms, and I was so terrified about hearing that.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot in religion that's designed to frighten the children. I would hazard a guess that that's one of the main purposes of religion, is to scare the children into conformity. I mean the adult children as well as the children. Because if you were scared as a child, you'll still be scared as an adult.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. This is utterly neutral, Elena. This life doesn't. Human beings have created the whole notion of good and evil and the whole notion of ethics and morality. We've played God with all of that stuff. And then we have the audacity to then blame God. You know, because we wouldn't want to take responsibility for creating good and evil ourselves, would we? So, so we'll create God and the devil for that business. It all becomes, even as a child, though, I never believed it, I have to say. So I didn't have to fight too much, Elena, to overcome any of that conditioning. Although I had a very Christian upbringing, I always just thought they were fairy stories. I did. So I'd have a bedtime story about fairies and goblins and, you know, elves, and then I'd go to Sunday school, and I'd be told stories of God and Jesus and saints and, you know, and miracles, and they were just other fairy stories. As all stories are.
Jackie has her hand up.
Jackie. Where's Jackie?
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Jackie. Hi, Jackie. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, just
Oh, you're cutting out.
it was something you said earlier about just my input. Yeah, there's a delay and stuff. So anyway, see how it goes.
Jackie, you're cutting out. I only got half of that, so I didn't.
Yeah. Just that I'm noticing enjoy to be in, and I've just gone and left.
There's
Like
something.
the last
There's something wrong with your microphone because
group
I'm getting 2 words and then a
that
blank.
I'm in, because when I go, it's switch anything off that I'm in, because
Turn off your, Jackie, if you turn off your video,
switch anything off.
we might hear you better if you turn off your video, Jackie.
Okay.
Try that. Try that. How's that?
Okay, is that any better? I turn the video off.
Yeah, that sounds better. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let me know if you can hear me.
I can hear you fine now. Go
I've got
ahead.
the dog. Anyway, yeah, just what you were saying earlier about okay. So yeah, I'm just really noticing, since I have been going to non-duality kind of meetings and Buckland, for instance, like I go to Buckland and I just feel like you're saying, like I like everybody, and it's just that's my tribe, and
Yeah.
that's where I feel at home. To the point where I've just left the last group. It's like I was involved with a couple of groups, and I just don't really like the people in them. Or I'm just, I don't know, I just find it harder and harder to kind of to warm to people.
Yeah, it can be. Like,
just really noticing that, so non-duality kind of people are the only ones I can kind of tolerate now. I just feel really intolerant of most people.
yeah, and
Yeah,
look what a motley crew they are, Jackie. Look at your screen. Look at them. Look at that. And yeah. And
beautiful.
you couldn't say what type of person is drawn to this, could you? Or why you couldn't. It's very hard to say, there's a type of person who turns up at non-duality meetings. I think that's one of the beauties of going to a meeting. Was this it's
I think going to other groups, like the agenda, sorry.
Yeah, I know what you mean, Jackie. A lot of it's just one of the things that falls away. I mean, this is speaking about the loss of everything that you called yours. So if you had an attachment to a particular group, it is likely that's going to fall away. I don't think it's essential that it falls away. But if part of the identity of me, of self, was in a group or in a number of groups, they are likely to stop. Don't have to, of course, but because the motivation that led you to be a part of that group, if that falls away, then of course they're just like, well, you just won't turn up at that group anymore. You won't feel identified with that anymore.
Yeah, and the kind of things. Yeah, and like this, there's this, people in the group or the leaders of the group kind of saying things, and everyone thinking, oh, that's so profound and so meaningful, and it's just boring, it just becomes tedious.
Yeah, you can't be doing
I feel like I'm a real snob now.
There is a danger of that, Jackie. I've met a lot of non-duality snobs in my time. Because yeah, of course, if you make this your new identity, like this is the final understanding. I know I've met people like that who have made non-duality, you know, so they've done everything else. And of course, that didn't lead to awakening or enlightenment or whatever else the person had fantasized that they were going to get. And then they've made non-duality, you know, the pinnacle, and looking down their nose at all the other poor little seekers. And there's nothing
I think that there's not
worse than that.
I think it's more just lack of interest.
Yeah.
I just don't find other discussions, you know, of morality and becoming and, you know, being a good whatever. I just don't find that interesting anymore.
No.
And yeah.
Well, I'll agree with you on that, Jackie. That's not interesting anymore, is it? This message is speaking about the loss of interest in whatever you were pursuing in order to achieve what you wanted to achieve. So that is one of the big downsides of what we're speaking about. You know, whatever motivated you to get up and go in order to achieve what you felt would bring you completion and wholeness and whatever else you fantasized about you could achieve, the loss of that, the seeming death of that, and the seeming death of self are one and the same. That energy, that seeking energy, and what you've called yourself, what you've called me, they are not two at all. That's the same energy. So there isn't a death of self, but there is a seeming death of seeking, and the seeming death of seeking is the seeming death of the seeker. Nothing died. There's nothing to die. No one dies. Bodies die. You don't.
Lynette has her hand up.
And you know,
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Lynette.
Tim, it's nice to see you. Thanks, everyone, for being here. So I started the call. I'm in Costa Rica right now, and I'm on the beach, and I'm having an idyllic.
Oh, get off.
I know, it sucks. It sucks to be me right
No,
now.
cut her off, Darren. Cut her off.
It sucks to be me, and I'm extremely privileged, and I'm sorry for the rest of you to be cold and miserable. But anyway.
It's brutal.
And I can invite you all. I have a big house here, so you.
We can't come.
Well, all I can say
Of course you're going to invite everybody if they can't come, Lynette.
No, I'm serious. Just contact me, and you know, if you're of my ilk, snobby, non-dual person that I am, you fit. But anyway, I just wanted to say, to the point of everything, when we started the call, there were whales passing by, and I said, okay, that's every bit as entertaining as the entertainment that I get here. And this is why I tune in now, because I've given up. I've given up believing that I'm ever going to have any other experience than what I'm having. So I say, okay, I'm splitting. I'm listening, but I'm watching the whales, and I just realized that this is what life is. It's just a fucking show. You know?
I tell you what, if I was you, Lynette, I would not be looking at this screen if there were whales out.
I know, but you guys you're compelling, and the group is compelling, and it still is. It still captures my, you know, seeker thing, but I can put it all on the back burner as long as I'm happy and not miserable, which is an interesting thing. It's like, who looks if you're happy, right? It's only when you're really super unhappy, in my experience.
That is true, yeah.
So
Thanks, Lynette. Well, I'm so flattered that I'm competing on a level playing field with
Yeah.
whales. Wow,
yeah, it's
that
really
is some claim. I'm going to
some-
put that. Oh yeah, I'm taking that and keeping it.
yeah. All right. Well, I'll give you testimony if you need it.
Yeah, thanks, Lynette.
It's like Tim Cliss, a leviathan of literature. Scott's got his hand up.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, Tim. Hey, everyone.
But
Hey.
how do we get Lynette's contact details?
Yes, good point. Yeah, Lynette, can you put your name, address,
In a bottle.
telephone number in
Email.
the chat so that everyone, once the flights are back on, then we'll all be over.
All right. I'd love it. It would be fun. It would be great. We'll have a retreat.
See you soon.
We'll just watch whales.
That sounds brilliant. Thanks, Lynette.
Right, love you. Bye.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead, Scott.
It's fun to see Lynette not in the kitchen. I saw her with her binoculars.
I am in the kitchen. I'm making carambola pickles.
Don't encourage us, Scott.
Don't encourage her. You know, I think we're it's such an interesting point when we detach from the story. It becomes this kind of perfect unknowing. Like just sitting and not knowing is so fascinating. And something else can come in. And I wasn't expecting something else to come in. I think that's what you mean by saying that everything comes in, because it looks like nothing. It's like you're just emptying the piazza and then something comes in that's a knowing. But I don't think it could come in when we're talking to ourselves or thinking or desiring or fearing or any of that stuff. So it's like, I read something by Meister Eckhart. He said, just sweep out the temple, you know, just clean it out completely. And I think that's what we're all getting to, is the death of the seeker. And so it's just this empty piazza.
Yeah. But yeah, there's no, you can't do the sweeping, unfortunately. You know, sweeping would just be, oh no, got to get up this morning and sweep out the piazza again. Got to do a bit more of that.
Well, that does too.
Not another day of sweeping the piazza. I'm sick and tired. Oh well, I'll keep doing it because it will get me towards the. Yeah, so
it's an internal vigilance. I think it's not. I mean, I think we all put in a lot of effort for a long time until we start to see that's ego. But there is some tiny bit of effort just to kind of, you know, just not catch the thoughts, not follow them, not get pulled into the ego. Oh, well, maybe today we should, you know, and then of course we're all surrounded by people who are shooting us to death.
Yeah, I mean, if that's how it is, Scott, that's how it is. But I can't emphasize enough. What I'm speaking about is so far beyond any effort.
Yeah.
It's, well, you know, it's not beyond, but it just doesn't take any effort. This is effortless. This is effortlessly being what it is. And even if whatever effort is being applied, seemingly, that's also it. But it's really, this is absolutely regardless of effort, you could say. So effort or not, it's of no significance.
Yeah, I didn't really want to underline the effort or effortlessness as much as the kind of, you know, the absence of hope sounds so horrible, but there is something, it's like we become receptive to something new. And there is something really beautiful and hopeful and sweet in that. And it's,
yeah.
And I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it.
No,
I thought I was going to the end of the road and I was going to end up, you know, with nothing. And nothing turns out to be, you know, pretty sweet. That's all I can say.
It is a surprise that emptiness is so benign. You know, I was terrified. You've heard me say that.
Yeah.
I've always been afraid of the dark, and the darkness is not to be afraid of. It's that simple. I was always craving the light because the light told me that then I'd be safe. So the light was safe and the darkness was very unsafe. well, the light and dark are not two. You know, there's the darkness. The darkness is not to be feared.
Yeah, and having like a person, or being a person, or I would even call it a mascot now. That's where the fear is, because that gets everything that has or was or will be, it gets lost. So that's all temporary.
Yeah.
So actually the nothing is just such a secure place. It's like untouchable, you know? And
yeah.
it just looks the complete opposite for so long that
Yeah. It's not a security that I would ever, you know, that you would ever want. It's not what I was ever looking for. It's not that kind of security. You could say it's the security of total insecurity, for what that's worth. But it's like it's the same with freedom. The fact that there's no possibility of escape is the freedom, and that doesn't make any sense. And the fact that the darkness and the light, there really is no difference. I always thought the one was, you know, again, I think is conditioned very heavily that darkness is evil, darkness is dangerous. And by darkness, really, I mean not knowing. Because light suggests that, you know, it's the light of knowledge, it's the light of knowing. And the darkness is, well, I don't know. Well, there was nothing to fear in not knowing. And no one ever told us that the dark was perfectly okay.
I think we have to kind of look for it, you know. It's what our soul, you know, I'm going to use language I know you're not going to like, but I think our soul is just dying for that not knowingness, so we can kind of just relax into it. It's something that was already there. I'm sure, you know, we're not creating this. It's just going back to before knowing. And last time we talked about the school of unknowing, I remember.
Yeah, you could say that. And it's not that I dislike that language, Scott. It's just that it doesn't mean anything. I mean, if you say soul to me, what the hell are you talking about? I haven't got a clue what you're on about. I don't know. I mean, what a lovely, I mean, if ever there was a beautiful idea created by self, it's this eternal self, which is the soul. I mean, what a beautiful bullshit story that is, isn't it? But don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't dislike it. It's just seen as, well, what do you mean? As if someone knows their soul, someone's seen the soul, someone's held their soul, felt their soul, heard their soul. I mean, no, I just don't. That has no resonance here. That doesn't mean I dislike it. It just doesn't have any meaning. It just seems.
I've argued with friends because they want the soul to be individualized, and I just thought that's one more cop out. But I would say it's like water saying the ocean and the wave, you know. It just feels like the part of me that's the part of everything that I just couldn't get I couldn't contact, I couldn't relate to, except in this unknowing. And then it seems to be there. So it's almost like the access point is just the stop of thoughts, the openness of the heart. It's such a beautiful surprise. I mean, who would have thought that unknowing had knowing in it? You know, it's one of those paradoxes where you just go,
yeah, that's lovely.
My mind would never figure this out. Never.
And it is, I like it that you say it's a beautiful surprise, and yet it's no surprise at all, is it? It's no surprise at all.
It's like all that effort was just for what? It was in the wrong direction. But that's fun. That's part of the fun, that you can go and get wrong and get right, and then you don't even care what that means anymore. And there's no escape.
And here, in the story of Tim, I cried and cried and cried for Tim and how hard he tried.
I mean, did you ever think the secret would die?
It wasn't just for Tim, but it was mostly for Tim. But it was also for everyone, you know, for all the selves who have tried so hard to be okay, to feel okay.
Yeah, all those lost souls we call, you know, we have to help them. I remember thinking, you know, God's trapped in all these people. We have to help him get out.
Yeah.
There's such great stories, you know.
Thanks,
And
Scott.
thank you so much.
Thanks, Scott.
Michael has his hand up.
Michael, have you got your hand up?
I do. See the little yellow.
Ooh, yeah. Hi, Michael.
It's still up. I'd like to get your opinion on, or at least share something that Darren brought up in another meeting concerning this loneliness that is intrinsic in the human mind. I think all sentience has what we call loneliness, but we have an objectified loneliness. And Darren brought up the concept or the idea that this loneliness that comes from this imaginary separation with us is leaves the idea in the wake of it that something's wrong, and that something's maybe wrong with us. And for me, that was a deeper insight into this longing and the idea that we need to fix something, and something's wrong with us.
Yeah.
And self-help books come out.
Oh, God, yeah.
I thought it was a wonderful insight.
I tried hard. I tried hard, along with most of the rest of us here, I'm sure.
Yeah. For me, it was a beautiful deepening of this whatever it isness. I enjoyed it very much. Thinking about it afterwards and trying to write a paragraph about it. But it was Darren's deep thoughts, I think. Not Jack Handy's deep thoughts, but Darren's deep thoughts. It was wonderful.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Michael.
Yeah, this
Oh, look.
Oh, it's Darren's son, yeah.
It's Oliver. Oh, hey, Oliver. He's beautiful. Oh, look. Oh.
Yeah. The loneliness is so powerful for self, because it's desperate to feel connected. You know, that sense of separation is essentially, I constantly desire connection in order that might bring me some relief from this dreadful longing to be with others. And there is no escape from that. I think that's one of the greatest myths of the whole Enlightenment story, is that, well, what this can bring me is relief, a permanent, constant relief from this aloneness. Well, there is this alone. This is, you could say, when the absence of me, aloneness is much more obvious. It's undeniable that there is nothing else. There is nowhere else to go. There are no others. You never know another. And you may cry for days or weeks or months at the total obviousness that you will never know another. And for the very simple reason, there isn't another. This is this alone. Just whatever we're calling this, there isn't something else. But all the love is in that. So when I'm talking about unconditional love, the unconditional love is that there aren't any others. All others need me. I can't see others. I can't touch others. But what we can do, I mean, the best we've got is meeting, sharing. But we never, that connection that was so longed for by me is never going to be satisfied. It just is an impossibility. And in that there is an intense sadness in that. That I have to say, I don't feel it quite as intensely as I did. It comes and goes, but sometimes that's still overwhelming. That they're really, the realization, you could say, the absolute smack in the face undeniability that there aren't any others. So I will never be completed by another. I can never, the whole fantasy story of meeting the one, of being completed. There isn't. This is already wholly complete. So that's the impossibility of completion. And I think that's often overlooked. But I will say, I'm not lonely anymore. There we go. How paradoxical. So there is this and this alone, but it's also the impossibility of being lonely. There we go.
Can I just add something to that, or push you in this? I love this idea that I think once we get in touch with our baseline as being lonely, then when we meet people and we don't meet people, it's not like something changes. Before, it was so addictive, people energy, I think COVID has helped us detox a little bit.
Yeah, maybe.
But I really feel like seeing people or being alone, it doesn't change as much as it used to. It used to change my whole, it's like I'd plug in, I could see my kids do it too. They plug into people energy.
Mm-hmm.
And because I guess we're all avoiding this baseline of just being utterly lonely. But it just needed to be integrated in some way to the whole, it was the part that was missing, I think.
Yeah.
But it becomes sweet that even with other people, it's still there. It's like a friend that doesn't leave you, It's not like they can pull us out of this anymore. So
no,
it becomes steady.
What you might find is if you're not enjoying or the energy doesn't feel good around, when you're with people, then you just leave much quicker than you would have done in the past.
Yeah.
If I'm telling a story about it, that's how it would be. So it's like you would have stayed because there's no good reason. That feeling when you're talking to somebody and it doesn't feel good and it doesn't feel right, but you go, you have a conversation with yourself about, well, I haven't really got good reason just to end the conversation and walk away, because you're looking, you need to justify what you're doing. Sort of what I was talking about earlier. You won't have to do that anymore. So that's nice.
Yeah, I remember watching this movie where one of the characters just said, "Oh, I got to go," and I remember thinking, "You could just say that to people."
Yeah, because you think, well, what will they think of me? Well, you won't care what they'll think of you, which is great.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, actually, that's not true. There is still caring what people think about you, but it's of a different flavor than it used to be. No, it's not that there's no caring. That's not true. No, of course, I'm heavily conditioned to be lovable and acceptable and to be universally loved by all. Our conditioning is like that, Be nice to the other kids or they won't want to play with you. The words of my mother are echoing. Don't, yeah, no, you can't have all the toys to yourself. This is sort of like taking your toys home and just not caring whether any other kids come around to play with you or not.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to play, though.
I think if you can share this with people, that's the ne plus ultra, you know. It's like then you get to be in it and be with others in it. You're not leaving the pool to go pull others in anymore. You just find people that kind of like to be here because they realize the energy's sweet and it's honest and vulnerable and you know, it's not playing games and it's not lost in stories. And that's not easy, but you know, here's a group, so it's possible.
It's just much easier, yeah. Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Tim.
What's the time? Oh, it's 5 past. Well, thanks again, everyone, for coming. If you'd like to be on the mailing list and you're not yet, then just email me and I'll put you on the mailing list. Lovely to see you all, and hopefully see you on Monday. Next week, I've got another talk with Luciana in Bulgarian, translated into Bulgarian. I feel such a celebrity that I'm translated into other languages, I have to say. I will confess to that. I'm not ashamed either. So that's on Wednesday. So you could gorge yourself on this nonsense for three evenings next week if you so desire. And I'll put all of those on the website and I'll put them on Facebook as well. And if you'd like invitations and you don't receive them at the moment, just message me via timclissthis.com and send me a message and I'll put you on the mailing list. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Tim, very much.
See you all again.
Thank you, Tim.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Tim.
Yeah.